All right. Hello, everyone. Happiest Friday to you. Happy Friday. If you are catching the replay, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are watching the replay, let me know that you're watching the replay by putting replay in the comments. That would bring me so much joy. And then I would love to know your key takeaways from today's live. So hello, everyone. Hello. Happiest Friday. All right, before we get into it, I am Siobhan, your community cultivator, and I believe that every single woman deserves to be free and fulfilled in her life. I teach women how to get unstuck. I teach women how to show up for themselves and do the work so that they can truly be free, so they can truly live the life that they desire to live. And you will hear me talk a lot about this on my podcast, the Be Free Project podcast. You'll hear me talk about this in the Be Free Inner Circle, which is my membership community where women all over the world are doing the personal growth work and showing up for themselves. They're finding their forever friends, and then they're also doing the accountability work, right? The personal growth work that it takes to change your life. And so you can learn more about the work that I do within the Be Free Inner Circle, the Be Free Project podcast, or even hire me to speak. Just go to BeFreeProject.com. All right, welcome. I see several members in here from the Be Free Inner Circle, so welcome, ladies. And everyone else that's not a member, but you may be considering it. We can talk about that for sure. So I wanted to talk today, and I'm just moisturizing my hands because I feel like every time I get on here, my hands are dry. I don't know why, but I don't know. That's what it feels like. Anywho, so this is what I want before I even get started into today's topic, which is how to get your mojo back when you feel lost. It is going to be good. So if y'all are ready for this, let me know by double tapping the screen and giving hearts. Let me know yes in the comments. If anything that I am sharing is really resonating with you, let me know in the comments, like, girl, you are on it. I'm feeling you. Yes. Or double tap the screen and give hearts. That would be amazing. And then also I encourage you to invite friends to come over and check this live out. You can do so by hitting that little arrow in the bottom right corner and like inviting your friends over, letting them know that you are checking me out during this time. And just so you know, before we get into it, every single Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we will be going live. So I like to come on right on your lunch break. I'm assuming that you're on lunch, depending on where you're at. But anywho, let's get into it. So I want to have this conversation about getting your mojo back when you feel lost. And the reason that I want to talk about this is because I'm noticing this from people who follow me on the gram. I'm noticing in my community, people emailing me that with the pandemic and being in this cycle of life where you just feel like you're existing and you're going through the motions and you've lost your groove and you've been struggling to get your momentum back. You've been struggling. How do you find your fire again? Life has been hitting you hard where it's one thing after the other, over and over again, and you are struggling on how to build your momentum if you ever had it to begin with, right? And then there's some women who you haven't found your stride. You haven't. It feels like you've just been struggling for so long. And it's like, how do I get to this level of freedom that Siobhan is talking about? How do I start to find fulfillment? How do I get started on my personal growth journey? And there's so much frustration and you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. Or you just lost it all together and you're struggling on how to build your momentum. And so I want to have a conversation about this today. And if you can relate and you feel like, oh my goodness, you are talking to me, let me know in the comments. You can always ask questions as well by putting them in the question box or typing them in the comments, and I'll make sure that I get to them. No question is off the table. When you're spending time with me during this hour that we typically speak, I want to make sure that I'm giving you my all. So if you have questions, take up this time and make sure that you ask. So the first question I want to ask you, and when you see me look down, I have my notes here so that I can make sure that I cover everything. And I really want you to answer this question in the comment section. Let me know. Do you feel like you lost yourself after marriage, after being in a relationship, after working at a certain job, after having children, life in general? Is there a part of yourself that you feel like you've lost yourself? right? And I was having a conversation with a new member in the Be Free Inner Circle this week, and we were just talking, and it was one of our get to know you calls. And this is what I do with every single new member going forward, is that when they join the community, I want to hop on a call with them. I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me, right? And so as we're talking, she said, my cup is empty. She was like, I give so much of myself to everyone else that there's days when I don't feel like there's anything left. And she said, and then I followed the rules that I was supposed to follow. She said, I got married, I had the baby, and now I'm looking at my life like, now what? And I said, I know exactly how you feel, because I too was in that place. And I've shared this before somewhere, whether on a podcast, whether on here, I don't know. But when I had just had my children, so maybe they were 2 and like maybe a newborn, or they were very early on, right? And I was newly married and all of that. And I remember looking at my life feeling lost. I remember feeling like something was missing, because like the member that I was talking to in the Be Free Inner Circle, I follow the rules. I follow whatever this American dream that we're supposed to be living. I was crossing all my T's and dotting my I's, and yet I had everything that was supposed to give me fulfillment and make me feel like I was successful. I did not feel like that. And so I'm looking at my life and I'm like, oh, I have the marriage, I have the house, I have the car, I have the good job, whatever that is. I have the kids, I have all of these things. Maybe I can vacation a year or 2 out of the year or whatever. And something is missing. Something feels like I should be doing more, but what is that, right? And so it was such a period of frustration for me, because I did not know what it was. I just felt like, and let me know if you can relate, where it's almost like there's this emptiness or this void that you feel internally, and you don't know what it is, but you can feel it, right? And so that is what I was experiencing. And there were many nights where I was crying and I was begging God, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I here for? And I wasn't getting an answer. So that's a frustrating place to be when you're praying to God, like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Oprah says I'm supposed to know my purpose, where it's at, and there's crickets, it's silence, right? And then feeling like, but I've done what they told me to do, but yet this is not fulfilling, right? So I knew exactly what she was talking about, and I told her I've been where you are at. But the key thing is, now that you are aware that you have the marriage, you have the family, you have these things, and there's still something missing, that's because you haven't found your personal fulfillment. That's because you done the things, but there's still something missing, because it's something that you're supposed to be pursuing. And you cannot keep giving so much of yourself to your partner and to your job and to your children, and yet you're not filling up your own cup. Because what will happen is you'll end up living this miserable life where you're just existing and you're going to work every day just to pay bills, and you're not finding any type of fulfillment. You are going to work and paying bills and just not living a life of substance and of purpose. And when I tell you that is the most uncomfortable feeling ever, I know it because I was there. And the moment that I figured out my purpose, and it will look different for every single woman that's watching me, the way that I discover my purpose will be very different than the way that you discover yours. The fact is that we all have one, right? And you were born with it, and it's already in you. You just have to get quiet enough and silent to really hear what's going on internally, right? And so for me, when I was at that very low point in my life, I, again, was praying to God, like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And I'll get to the step. I'm actually going to give you guys a list of steps if you're feeling lost on what. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, because I'm like, I'm about to get into the steps and I ain't said everything I want to say. I just want to point out, though, I definitely have been in that space where not knowing yourself, and it's very, very, very uncomfortable. And so when I speak to women on a daily basis, and I can hear that they're trying to work through some type of trauma that happened to them as a child, or they just broke up with this friend, or maybe in a romantic relationship, and then there's so much stuff that they're trying to work through that it's almost like it has paralyze them in a sense where they can't move past that. And so whatever that thing is, you definitely have to go back and figure out, okay, when was the point that I lost my mojo? When number one, let me just say this. When was the moment that you felt most alive? When you felt most creative? When you felt like you were just in your groove, right? And then I want you to think about, when did you lose it? What was happening in your life where you felt like you were losing your mojo, right? What was happening in your life where you went from having a fulfilling moment or life or whatever, or just being in a really high space and on your groove, to something happen, right, that caused you to lose it. And let me just put a pin here and say, it's perfectly okay. I want you to be kind and gentle to yourself and give yourself grace. I am just sharing some things that I have learned. This is not for you to be hard on yourself. This is not for you to beat yourself up. This is not for you to feel guilty. This is not for you to carry any type of shame. This is just to bring to your awareness, right, of when did you lose your mojo. So then that way you can go back and say, oh, this is what happened. And when this happened, there was a spiral of things, and I've been struggling since that point. This is only, again, I want to make it very clear here. This is only to bring awareness to when you lost it, so you can get back to that point and move forward. Let me know if y'all picking up what I'm putting down, because what I'm sharing, it could be triggering to some, right? It could make you emotional, and that's not, if you're triggered, that's fine, but that's not my intention. I just want to help you get to the point of where you lost it, so then that way we have something to work with. I hope that is making sense for you ladies. So let me tell you this too, what it looks like to feel lost in your life, because I want to give you kind of some examples. And this is from my own personal experience. When I felt lost in my life, this is what it looked like. And this was, again, several years ago. So my kids are 15 and 12 years old now. So this was a while ago. But I can probably think of some other moments in my life where I lost my mojo for a quick second. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm going back to that time frame, okay? And so when I felt lost, I stopped caring about my appearance, all right? So my skin wasn't glowing. I threw on any type of clothes, maybe like, well, I'm not going to point out what type of clothes because that doesn't matter. But my appearance was not up to par, right? Even when I used to have longer hair, so my hair used to be like almost bra strap length. And I would, for convenience, I would pull it back in a ponytail every day, right? Or just not doing the twist outs and all the stuff that I was doing pre-children. But I would pull it back in a ponytail every day. Not caring about my clothes, and then weight, right? So I didn't gain a lot of weight with my pregnancies, but it was enough weight that I was carrying afterwards. So for me, what it looked like for me feeling lost in my life is that my appearance, wasn't the Siobhan's way, right? The way that I carry myself now, it looked very different. So that was a good sign of me that I'm losing myself and falling into something that is not where I want to be, right? I hope that makes sense. Another way for me, what felt like being lost, is that I was lacking purpose. So I was in this rotation, or this rhythm, if you will, where it was all about taking care of my family. And I did not know what I was here to do. I did not know what I was on earth to do. And I didn't feel like my life was meaningful other than being a mother and a wife, right? And an employee at the time. Another thing, how I knew that I lost myself, is that I was chasing what society said was successful. And at the time, I had not defined it for myself. So going back to my example where I had the house, I had the car, I had the husband, I had the kids, I had everything that society says, oh, this is what's going to make you successful. But I had it all and nothing mattered, right? And then also I stopped making my needs a priority. So everything became about my family, right? Everything. It was going to Target and always getting something for the kids and never getting anything for myself, or rarely getting anything for myself. Always for the kids in the house and things like that. So in my life, I basically put everybody else before myself. And it hit me one day like a ton of bricks. I said, oh, wait a minute. This is uncomfortable. This is very frustrating. This is not the life that I signed up for. Because what I thought, I went to college. I thought, I don't know, 6 figures and more. I just had this big dream of leaving college and climbing the corporate ladder. But again, that was not my dream. That's what society told me to do. Society says, oh, get to the top and that's when you'll be successful. So I thought, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I'm going to try to do. And try to do that. And it just did not feel good. So all of these different ways in my life, whether it was in my personal life or my career, everything I was doing was following someone else's definition of what success was. And again, I felt lost and I felt miserable. And so I would call it a rock bottom moment, which I'm very grateful for, where I felt like I have to do something. I have to change something. And I didn't know what it was. And the first step for me, I will say I didn't know what it was. The first step for me was going to therapy. And therapy, I will say it week after week after week, changed the game for me. I'm not in therapy now, but I was in therapy for off and on for years and years and years because there was so much stuff that I needed to heal from. And so when I was begging and asking God what was my purpose, again, I was asking for it prematurely because I hadn't healed from my mother wounds yet. Now I can clearly say that I have healed, but I've done so much work over the years to get to this place today that I'm in where, and I talked about this last week on the live, I feel the most free than I've ever felt in my whole entire life. Every aspect of my life is absolutely beautiful. From my marriage, from my company and how successful it is, from my friendships to my relationships with my immediate family to relationships out, other family members. The way that I live my life, the way that I show up is such a level of freedom that I've never experienced in this way that I'm having it today. And the reason why is because I've done my work and I continue to do my work. And I'll keep talking about that over and over again. Plus, I'm going to share some tips with you guys. So I do want to say this, that in order to get to a level of freedom, in order to find fulfillment, in order to really change the trajectory of your life, you got to fight for it. You got to act like you want it. You cannot settle for being mediocre. You cannot settle for, oh, I'm 40 now and this is just how it is. Oh, I'm 50 now and this is just how it is. Absolutely not, right? Or, oh, yeah, I gained this weight. I'm just going to accept this weight. No. At any point of your life, you get to change while there's still breath in your body. And what happens so frequently is women start to make excuses. They start making excuses. Oh, I had a baby 5 years ago and I'm still carrying my baby weight. How long are you going to carry it, right? At some point, you got to get outside and start walking and moving your body or something. Like, you can't keep using the same excuse year after year. If you want your life to be better, if you want to change, if you want to grow, you have to do something and you have to fight. Like you think of the same, like when you think about raising your children or when you think about people that you love and you care about, what would you say to them if they were in a space where they felt lost and they felt stuck? What words of encouragement would you say to them? Because those same words that you would say to your children, to your family members, you need to speak that over yourself. And if you want your life, and I'm feeling very riled up, I can feel it coming on. I can feel the passion like increasing. So bear with me, because when I get passionate in this moment, my energy starts to raise and I'm like, y'all about to get it, and take it how you get it. But this is truly coming from my heart. If you want your life to change, you have to be willing to fight for it. And if you're not willing, admit that to yourself. So then that way you can stop making excuses. You know what you can say? Right now in this season, I'm not even ready to change. I'm going to accept where I'm at. And then everybody will be like, okay, cool. But when you saying one thing out of your mouth, but your actions don't line up with your words, I have an issue with that. I do. Because it's like, stop saying it if you're not going to do anything. And admit that you're lazy. Admit that you don't have enough belief in yourself to move forward. Like, be honest. Did I talk about this last week? Maybe I talked about it in the Be Free Inner Circle. or maybe the Master Your Mind Bootcamp. I talked about it somewhere, but you have to learn how to be honest with yourself. And many women are not honest with themselves. And I see it day in and day out, right? And so, again, you have to fight to become the woman that you desire to be. And there is more to your life than being a romantic partner, a wife, a mother, an employee. You were not put on earth just to fulfill these roles. There is a purpose that's in you that's meant to serve others in some capacity. And there's more to it than motherhood, in my opinion. Again, maybe you think differently. That's okay. But when it comes to purpose, I don't think that your only role on this earth is to be a mother. That's just my thing. I don't think your only role on earth is to be a wife. I think that there's more to life than that. Because what if you didn't have those things? What if you didn't have children? What if you didn't have a husband, right? Does that mean that there's no purpose for your life? No, there was something that was in you before you got these roles. And my challenge to you is that you figure out what it is. Figure it out, right? I don't know why, but I feel very riled up because I wish I was hearing someone like me 9 years ago, 10 years ago, right? I wish there was a voice like mine way back when. But guess what? I had to figure out so many things on my own. And now that I figured it out, this is why I get on here every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? That's why I'm constantly coaching and teaching and mentoring the members in the Be Free Inner Circle, right? I'm constantly doing that because everything that I wish I was taught, I'm doing my best day after day after day, pouring that into you guys. And not just pouring it into you, I have children. So I'm, pouring all of this goodness into them. And this is one I was telling, who was I telling? I was telling a couple of friends this morning. When it came to my healing journey, the reason that I had to heal, the reason that I had to get to this place of being emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically healthy is because my children need a healed version of me. And I'm watching it right now, literally in my own home. And I'm so grateful that I'm doing my work day in and day out. I said, because my children need the healthiest version of me possible. So this is my point that I'm making, that if you don't have enough willpower to do it for yourself, to change your life for you, change it for the people that's connected to you. Change it for your babies. Say, I want my children's life to be so different. I'm going to do my personal growth work. Whatever that work looks like, I am going to do that for my children. If you don't have enough for you, do it for your children, because you do not want your children to be you don't want your children to have to carry your unhealed pain. And that was one commitment that I made very early on. I said, the reason I'm going to therapy, and I don't care how painful this is week after week after week, I'm doing it for my children, because they should not have to carry my unhealed mother wounds. And so now when I look at where I'm at today, thank God, because now I am so healthy that as my daughter is going through this transition in her life, and as my son is, different places that he's at, I'm so healthy that I can pour into them and I can love on them from a healed place and not a wounded place. I did not plan to say all this, but this is very important, that I want you to do your personal growth work. If you don't have enough willpower to do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Don't let your kids have to suffer through your pain, right? You want your kids to have a beautiful life. You want them to be living purpose, living your purpose. You want your children. And if you don't have children, maybe there's somebody else that's connected to you that's watching. I don't care. There's always somebody that's inspired by you, some way, shape, or form. Do it for them, right? If you don't have enough willpower to do it for yourself. I will say that struggling, settling, existing is not okay. And I feel like you guys come on here week after week, or you follow me on the gram, or you listen to the Be Free Project podcast, or you're a member of the Be Free Inner Circle. I feel like there's some level of you that wants to be free. You see that right? Right there, right? There's some level of you that wants to be free, and you see something in me that you decide to follow along this journey. And if freedom is something that you deeply desire, which I believe that it is, because you're listening and you're subscribed and you're doing all the things, then how bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough that you'll wake up a little bit early in the morning and do some meditation and some journaling? Do you want it bad enough that you're going to go to therapy? Do you want it bad enough that you're going to join the Be Free Inner Circle, a community of like-minded women who are doing the work and offering support to one another and building real friendships? Do you want it bad enough that now you'll start showing up for yourself in the most beautiful way possible? The question will always be, how bad do you want it? Because if you want it bad enough, you will act different. And if you don't have the discipline to do it on your own, join a community that has already been curated for you. One young lady that I was talking to this week, who's a member of the Inner Circle, she said the reason why I joined is that I didn't have to go out and search for a group of women who were already self-aware. She said, you've already curated the space, and it's not a Facebook group or anything like that. She said, you put in all the work. All I got to do is show up. And I said, well, yes, you are right, girl. I did all the work. I did the work to cultivate this amazing space where everyone is positive and like-minded. There's no drama. There's no cattiness. There's no jealousy. There's no envy. There's nothing. There's me showing up. They get, 4 to 6 live events where we're on Zoom every single week, right? I put in the work. I created the space. You just have to take the next step and say, you know what? Let me trust her. Let me try this out to see. Because I cannot do this on my own, let me partner with someone who has already done the work, who's already curated the space for me so I can show up for myself, right? And if you want to know more about my community, the Be Free Inner Circle, make sure you go to BeFreeInnerCircle.com. As you can see, there's lots of members here inside the community who join me here online. Like, they get me every single day, all day, and then they come and watch me on IG Live, which I love. I love y'all. All right, so let me share with y'all some of the steps that I had to do, and then I'm going to give you some practical steps for yourself. I didn't say this at the top of this live, but every time you watch me live, make sure you have a pen and a notebook. Make sure you are writing down all of the things, because I'm going to be sharing a lot. And then if you don't catch it all or you come in late, you can always catch the replay. It'll be posted here. All right, so these are the things that I had to do when I lost my mojo and I felt lost, all right? Number one, I've already said it many times today, I went to therapy. Therapy was a game changer. And the reason that I went to therapy is because I had mother wounds. My mother made some poor choices when I was younger. Those choices affected me all the way into adulthood. And had I not went to therapy and healed, I would not be where I'm at today. Therapy was the number one thing that I had to do. And even now, if there's something that comes up or if I get triggered, I have a therapist on call that I can text or I can call her, and she would give me the support that I need. That was number one for me. All right. Number two is that I started treating myself to things that bring me joy. And it could be the smallest of the smallest thing, whether I needed to go out to Target by myself without any kids and just go push the cart around and pick up a few things, right? Or whether I wanted to treat myself to coffee or just sit by the water or journal in some quiet time, whatever that was. Whatever it was that gave me joy, I started giving that back to myself. And it had to be little things. I love music. So even creating new playlists for myself, that was empowering. Whatever it is that would bring me happiness or some slice of joy, those are the things that I was adding to my life. And that was really, really helpful for me. The third thing I did, I journaled a lot. I'm a huge advocate for journaling. Been journaling since I was 14 years old, and it was my therapy before I started going to therapy. So I wrote down so many of my feelings and my emotions. So this way I wasn't keeping everything in internally, that I was able to release it on paper. And then the fourth thing that I did specifically for me was I figured out who was I outside of being a wife and outside of being a mother and an employee. Who was I? And let me be honest with you. To this day, because y'all hear me talk about becoming Siobhan all the time, I'm still becoming. I'm not who I am going to be. I am always becoming. I'm always growing, right? There's always levels to this. However, in that season, I said, okay, first and foremost, who am I outside of these roles? Who do I want to be? What do I see for my life? What do I see for myself? And the very first thing that I said is that I gotta stop making other people a priority before myself. Okay, and then I said, well, why do you have to do that? What does that look like? And so I just kept writing all of these things down in my journal. And let me show you guys. 1 second. 1 second. I should have had it on my desk already. But all of the questions that are in the Free Your Mind journal, these are the questions that I had to start asking myself. And if you don't know, it's a journal full of 40 journal prompts designed to change your mind so that you can change your life, right? And there's journal prompts for mindset, for clarity, to empower you and for you to take action. And the prompts that are inside of my journal is what I use to begin to get clarity about who I was and what I wanted. So one of the questions that comes top of mind is that who did I need to forgive and why, right? And so when I started writing that down, right, because I needed to figure out who was I outside of my roles. Okay, I'm getting that. But in order for me to understand that, there's some questions that I need to ask to even get to the answer to that question, right? So when I thought about, at that time, I needed to forgive my mother, and there were parts of myself that I needed to forgive, right? And so I just kept journaling everything that came up. And if you want to know more about the Free Your Mind journal, it's on my website at BeFreeProject.com. I will say that being stuck and being lost is costing you a lot. And you may not see it as a cost because you're used to living the way that you're living, but it's costing you your freedom. And when you're ready for change, you're going to have to invest in your personal growth. And if you could do it by yourself, you would have done it by now. But the older you get and you keep repeating the same patterns over and over and over again, you will stay stuck in the same spot. And so the steps that I'm going to share with you next will be things that you can do. Write down the ones that resonate with you. I would love to hear afterwards, which ones are you putting into practice? I want to hear how you're showing up for yourself. I want to hear that you didn't just join me in this afternoon just to get an emotional high, but you're actually doing the work. That's what I want to hear. I want you to tell me, girl, I'm ready to become a member of the Be Free Inner Circle. Because if you like that on IG Live, I can imagine what you're like inside the Inner Circle. And just know it's 10 times more than this, and they get more access, more insight, and all that jazz. So number one. If you have unhealed wounds, let me say this before I get going. These are the actionable steps that I recommend if you have lost your mojo, you feel lost, and you're trying to figure out how to get back in a healthy space, if you will. All right. Number one, if you need to heal, go to therapy. I'm a huge advocate. I need like a sponsorship or something with a therapy company. Because the way I talk about therapy, I need to be like partner. Like I need some type of partnership. So if anyone has connections, let me know. Anywho, number one is start therapy. That is, if you need to heal from some unhealed stuff before you can find your purpose, in my opinion, you have to heal from some things. Number one. Figure out. Number two. So that's number one. Start going to therapy if you need to heal, right? Number two, do things that bring you joy. What brings you joy? What makes you happy? You'll be surprised how many women don't even know what fills their cup, that they don't even know what brings them joy, what makes them happy, because they're so busy all the time, being busy and giving to everyone but themselves, right? Thank you, Sierra. Thank you, Sierra. Come through, right? So you'll be surprised at how many women don't even know what makes them happy. So you know what? Tell me one thing in the comments that make you happy. What's one thing that brings you joy? Just tell me in the comments. I want to know. And if you don't know, I want you to say, I don't know. That's fair. Tell me. Tell me what makes you happy, what brings you joy. Give me one thing. And again, if you don't know, nobody's here to judge, because that's okay. Because I remember I was at this event several years ago. I was vending, and I asked, some lady walked up to me and she was buying something. And I remember asking her, well, what makes you happy? And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, is there anything that brings you joy? And as we're looking into each other's eyes, because I believe in giving good eye contact, all you can see is the tears welling up in her eyes, because she was like, I don't know what makes me happy. And I'm like, man, and she had to be in her 30s or 40s, somewhere around that, right? And it made me think, like, there's so many women who do not know what makes them happy and what brings them joy, right? Because they're looking for happiness in other people. They're looking for happiness in things and don't know it's the simple little things that can bring you joy every single day. And as I'm seeing her with tears in her eyes, I'm like, I once was her. There used to be a point where I'm just going through the motions of life. I don't know what makes me happy, right? But now I know, and every single day I do my best to incorporate. Actually, I don't do my best. Every single day I do something that makes me happy, something that brings me joy, right? So that was number 2. Number 3. Oh, I've already said, I guess. Nope, I'm saying I am. Nope. These are the things that I did. Oh, I confused you, Sierra. I confused myself on my little, I'm like, wait a minute. I said this stuff already. Those are the things I did. Okay, what I want you to do. Let's start over. Let's start with number 1. My bad, forgive me. This is why I can't, I got to make sure my stuff is on like notes because this is like confusing. What I want you to do. Number one. Get clear about what you want. Get crystal clear about, thank you, Sierra. Number 1 is get crystal clear about what you want for your life. So many women do not know what they want, and that's okay, but I really want you to think through it. And nothing is silly. Nothing is off the table. If it's meaningful to you, it matters. What is it that you want for your life? How do you want your life to look a year from today, 2 years from today? What is it that you want, right? I know for me, I cannot wait to speak at Essence Fest. That's one of the biggest dreams I have, right? I know that I want a beach house, right? I know that one day I want a space, the Be Free Project headquarters, if you will. And I also want something where women can come together and it'll be for women, and we'll have coffee and we'll have music and we'll have workshops and all this. Just like, I'm very crystal clear about what I want for my life, right? I know what I want for my marriage. I know what I want for my family and my kids. I know what's important to me. It's very important that you get crystal clear about what's important for you. That's number 1. Number 2, self-care is a priority. Right? It is a priority. And when I talk about self-care, I'm not talking about taking a bath. I'm not talking about getting your mani and pedi. Okay, that is cute. That is hygiene. What I am talking about, self-care when it comes to your mental, your emotional wellness. How are you caring for yourself on the inside, right? What is that? What does that look like? And it has to be a priority for you. It cannot be, oh, when I get time. No, you have to come first, even before your children. Yes, I said that. My kids know I come first and I do not feel guilty. And there was a time that I felt guilty for it, right? But I do not feel guilty anymore. So when I get up in the morning, I come to the Be Free Project headquarters, right? And I take out time for myself. Right? That doesn't mean I neglect my kids. That's not what I'm saying. But I come first and everybody knows it. And I'm not willing to sacrifice. And the reason I'm not willing to sacrifice because I did it for a long time. And there was a point where I hated my life. I hated it. And I was not happy and I was not fulfilled. And I will never, and you know how they say there's some things you should never say never about. I will never go back to that place again. Because I was not happy and I was dissatisfied with my life. And so for me, self-care is a priority. If that means talking to my therapist, right? If that means meditation or journaling, if that means treating myself to dinner alone, if that means going to the grocery store by myself even now, right? If that means going for walks by myself, whatever it is, the self-care is a priority, and I'm not negotiating. I'm never going to negotiate with that. And everybody understands. Everybody understands. So make self-care a priority. Number 3, thank you, Sierra. This is very helpful. Put yourself on your calendar with a pen, right? Not a pencil, because a pencil you can erase. But if you're using a planner, write yourself in there just like you would write down meetings that you have, appointments and all that jazz. Every single week you need to be on your calendar for something, right? And if you're using Google Calendar, iCalendar, whatever, make sure there's time for you. Because if you're constantly giving yourself to everybody else, of course you're going to feel lost because you're not doing nothing for you. You're doing it for everybody else. People pleasing. And that's a whole nother IG Live to talk about that, right? Number 4, and I've talked about this several times. Find your tribe, find your community, find your friends. I stand firm in this, I don't think anybody should be doing this journey alone. It's hard enough to do it with people. So let alone on this personal growth journey, you need to be surrounded with people who are also where you're at. And let's talk about it. Hold on. I know you've had friends in your life for however many years. And now that you're in a different season, the friends that you had before, they may not be able to go the next distance with you, right? Because you're focused on changing, because there's something in you that has nothing to do with them. Now you may need to surround yourself with a new group of people that can help you get to your next level. But if all of your friends right now are settling or they just doing the same old, you will become just like them. We know the quote, Jim Rohn, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So if the friends in your life, they're not where you want to be, and they're not doing the things that you want to do, and they're not on any kind of personal growth journey, but they're gossiping, they're jealous, they're envious, possibly. Maybe they just doing nothing. Do you want to be around people doing nothing? I don't. Like, I need to listen. The way my friends is set up, ain't nobody got time for nobody doing nothing, right? And I feel like my skin looks. Yeah, I got a tan. I think I got more of a tan. The way I'm looking at myself on this camera, I'm like, Siobhan, you got a glow. I feel like I'm glowing today. But you have to surround yourself with women, a community, a tribe, at least one friend, someone who you can do this journey with, because it gets hard. And even this morning, me and my friend, we were having a conversation, and I had something that I needed to get off my chest. And so I'm sending voice notes to her back and forth. And then she had something that she needed to share. And I was telling her, I said, this is why you need emotionally, mentally healthy friends. Because I was able to share some things with you. You were able to share some things with me. We were both able to support one another in that very moment. And now we're good to go. And I'm like, that is what friendship is. You need friends in your life that can support you. You need women that can support you. And I was talking, I have a couple more steps, but I was talking to a young lady yesterday who just joined the Be Free Inner Circle. And she was telling me how growing up, her mom told her not to trust women, right? Women can be trusted. And so this is where I find that the work that I do possibly could be challenging for some, because if you grew up and your mother told you not to trust women, or your mother said, don't be around females, or women are jealous, or women can't be trusted, or there's always drama. And then I get on the gram like, join the Be Free Inner Circle. It's this magical place and like-minded women and everybody growing all over the world. You like, girl, no, my mama said I can't trust women. And so I'm like, but it's a magical place and they're growing and they're doing all this stuff, right? And it takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery to go and say, you know what? I'm going to trust Siobhan. And this is what I talked about on this week's episode of the Be Free Project podcast, where I just want you guys to trust me. And I'm not going to lie. Like, there's so many members on this live right now that are inside the Be Free Inner Circle. And I am watching with my own 2 eyes how they have grown, whether they joined a month ago or they've joined a year or years ago, and I can see the progression. I can see the growth. The way they talk is different. The way when we do our live calls like this via Zoom, you can see they sitting up different. You can see a glow. You can see that, oh, there's a shift happening in their mindset. And they tried to do it year after year, and they weren't not able to get to the place that they're getting to now without the support, without the help. And so all that to say, find your tribe, whether it's the Be Free Inner Circle or some other amazing other community, tribe, whatever. Find somewhere to surround yourself with like-minded women who are doing the work, because it'll be easier to do it with people who are doing it. Number 5. I'm on number 5. 5, 6, 7. Okay, I got 8 steps. Okay, I'm on number 5. Let go of the guilt, y'all. Whatever guilt that you've been holding on from your past, let it go. Because, and I was just talking to the Master Your Mind Bootcamp, I believe, about this, is that you cannot change the past. You cannot change what has happened to you, what people have said, what people have done. And the more that you keep yourself stuck in the past, you're never going to you're never going to be free, right? So if you're carrying on the mistakes that you made or how people treated you or what they've done to you, you have to move on. Because the guilt will eat you up inside, right? So you have to forgive the people who have hurt you, and then you have to forgive yourself. And guess what? Forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person, and it has everything to do with you. And when you can practice forgiveness, it will free you in a whole nother way. And I'm speaking from experience, because even when I think about the relationship with my mother, I had forgiven her years ago, but there was a whole nother level of forgiveness that's happened within the last year that has literally changed the dynamics of our relationship. And I think I said this last week, she didn't change. I changed. And I made a decision that I wanted to be free in my life, that I was willing to change how I showed up. And I was willing to offer another level of forgiveness. And this way, I could not play the blame card you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do that anymore. Like, I had to take ownership because I'm responsible for my life. All that to say, stop carrying guilt, because you're only hurting yourself and nobody else. And the more you carry guilt, the more you will stay stuck exactly where you're at. Number 6 is to move your body, right? So we're talking about if you feel lost in your life and you lost your mojo, how do you get back? Move your body. I encourage the members of the Be Free Inner Circle. Last month we did a walking challenge. Many women are continuing with that challenge of walking a minimum of 5,000 steps a day. You want to release some stress? You want to feel better? Go for a walk. Every single day without fail, I go for a walk. I move my body. Now, I have added the gym, which has not been a delight in my life, but I have added the gym to go 3 to 4 times a week. But bare minimum, every single day, go for a walk. Like Reese says, get some fresh air, right? Even if you go out for 10 minutes, move your body. And don't tell me you don't have time. Do not tell me, oh, my schedule's so busy. I now work at home for COVID. I got to work around the clock. No, you don't. You get a lunch break. You get off at some point. Go for a walk and move your body. Do something for yourself and put it on your calendar, and then find someone to hold you accountable, to check in with you day in and day out and say, hey, did you go for your walk? Did you go for your walk? And if you don't have someone in your life that will do that, join the Be Free Inner Circle, because I sure will. Every day I'll be like, hey, you went for your walk today? What's up? How many steps you get? Ask the members. Ask them. They will tell you the truth. Number seven, stop putting yourself last. Fill your cup first, all right? Stop putting yourself last, because the more that you put everybody else's needs before your own, the more frustrated you're going to be. And what's going to happen is that you're going to be helping everybody else move forward in their life while you stay stuck. And so you're going to look up 10 years from, you're going to look up a year from now, and you're going to be like, man, why am I in the same spot, but such and such is so much further along? You know why? Because you spent so much time encouraging them that you didn't encourage yourself. You spent so much time believing in their dreams. You spent so much time wanting to help them that you forgot to help yourself. Stop putting yourself last. Stop. It's not okay. And number 8, this is something that you can do right away that will support you, is download my 6-step roadmap to being free. The link is in my bio. Download my 6-step roadmap to being free, because what I've done in that resource is a free guide that, a free roadmap, if you will, and it walks you step by step on how I changed my life. And it's my exact process that I do over and over and over and over and over again all the time, right? All the time. So download the 6-step roadmap to being free. That link is in my bio. Those are all of the steps. Sierra, you did an amazing job at taking notes today. Forgive me for my mistake. Next week, I will be more organized. All right, so I want to answer your questions, all that jazz. So let's get it going. I agree, Brianna. Nature is very grounding, very grounding. And even today, as I was on my walk, something came up and it just had me in tears. And for me, walking has become very spiritual. Let's see. We have two Sierras. Sierra, my affirmation today was day 8. I am ready to forgive anyone I feel has hurt me. Yes, forgiveness, Sierra, is a game changer. And it is uncomfortable, right? But the thing is, the more that you hold on to the pain, the more you stay stagnant in your life, and it's going to prevent you from moving forward. And again, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for yourself. The reason that I was able to forgive my mother for the choices that she made, it wasn't about her. It wasn't. And the choices she made suck. They were not good choices at all. However, when I decided to say, you know what, enough is enough. Because guess what? I have a 15-year-old daughter that had I not forgiven my mother, how can I be the healthiest version for my children? I can't. So I'm glad that resonated with you. Oh, let's see. We have a question. Not a question, but those red curls. Oh, thank you. I love a good compliment. Thank you. Yes, and thank you. Look, I'm actually about to diet again. I like to use this is not as bright as it normally is, but I like to use Shea Moisture. Shea Moisture has a color system, and that's what I like to use to dye my hair. So thank you. If y'all have questions, make sure you let me know and put them in the question box or in the comment section. Let's see. Yeah, you can see, Carrie, I am tanned. This is from our walks. And listen, Cleveland, we had nerve to have snow this week, which is bananas. But the days that the sun has been shining bright, I have been out there, whether going for my walks and or roller skating. So, and I love a good tan, so I'm glad y'all can see it. All right. Y'all like, okay, good. So what brings you joy and what makes you happy? Sylvia said music. Cherie says walking for an hour by myself brings me joy because I'm an introvert who has to recharge alone. I love that. Chandra says singing out loud. Can you sing, Chandra? I can't sing, but I like to sing. I feel like you could sing. You strike me as someone that can sing. Sierra says being outside in nature. Yes, Crystal, sunshine. Yes, music, Lisa. Absolutely. All right. All the inner circle ladies are up in here. All right. So if y'all don't have any you do have a question. Good. Let me, hey, Tiara, I have not seen you in forever. Should I fuss at you here on the gram? Because I have not seen your beautiful face. Okay, nothing's off topic. I said y'all can ask about anything. We're good. How can one help their friend find their passion or purpose? Is helping your friend find her purpose or passion your job? Is that your job? To help your friend find her purpose and her passion? And the reason that I asked, so I read this really great book called The Courage to Be Disliked. And one of the things that it talks about in the book is how sometimes we make our other people's task our task. And we have to focus on ourselves. And I'm not saying that you don't support and that you don't help your friend, but at the end of the day, she has to figure out what she's passionate about and she has to figure out what her purpose is. Because there's nothing that you can do to say because that's something internal. Right? And so you can support and maybe ask questions and maybe support things that maybe she's curious about. But at the end of the day, she or he, you didn't say, but your friend has to figure out what their passion and what their purpose is. Like that's not your job. And sometimes what happens is we see something and let me give you a perfect example. The way that I used to be where I'm at today, I wanted to help everybody. I just wanted to help them figure out what it is that they were supposed to do. The problem is the more that I kept helping other people, I wasn't helping myself flourish in the way that I'm flourishing today, right? And so I made their work my work, and making their work my work slowed me down. And sometimes all you got to do is show up and operate in your purpose and in your passion, and the people will follow suit if and when they need to, right? Maybe they will see you as an inspiration and say, oh, I see Tiara is in her purpose and I see she's doing her DJ thing and all that jazz. Let me start doing my work, right? But sometimes all we have to do is be an example instead of trying to help everybody trying to figure their stuff out. That's how I see that. I hope that's helpful. Let's see. Chandra says, what are some of the tools you use outside of therapy to help you heal your mother wounds? That is a great question, Chandra. I created, and I've been going back and forth if I really want to talk about the Motherless Child Guidebook because I'm healed, but I do feel like there are women that can be supported with that resource. So I created the Motherless Child Guidebook, a sacred space for healing your mother wounds. And if you're interested, it's on my website at BeFreeProject.com. And I created it because I thought I was creating it to help other women, but I also was creating it for me to heal even more. And I had to learn outside of therapy what it was I needed to care for myself. And so I outlined a lot of that inside the Motherless Child Guidebook, like acknowledging my own faults and how even being codependent, right? Because that comes from mother wounds. So because of I knew that behavior, that showed up in other relationships. So going back and healing that stuff. But specifically, tools that I use outside of therapy. There were books that I read. I'm looking, but I don't have the books in here. But when you buy the Motherless Child Guidebook, I give you a list of books that you can read. But one of them was, I feel like it was, you know what else I did? I'm trying to think because that was just so long ago. But I did go to Grief Recovery. Was it called Grief Recovery? No. My therapy was called Healing the Mother Wounds, and we had a book that we had to read in there. But there was also a grief workshop thing that I went to as well. I read books. I talked. So I freely have friends that I can talk to about my mother wounds, but they don't come up as frequently as they did before. I journaled a lot. I did a lot of journaling. But I think the best tool, in my opinion, would be investing in the Motherless Child Guidebook, a sacred space for healing your mother wounds, because there's affirmations in there. There's resources. There's 90 plus minutes of video content from yours truly. And I go through like 5 different sections that I can't think of off the top of my head to really support that. I think that would be the best thing. Let's see. Any more questions? Chandra says, I can sing. I knew it. I said, you got that singing. You got that singing look. You got that look that, you can tear the church down. I can feel it. I feel that type of energy. I knew it. Let me know if anyone else has any questions, comments, concerns. Was this helpful? Let me know if this was helpful. Right, Tiara, it's not your job. It is not your job to help. It's not that you can't help other people, but it's not your job to try to help someone else figure out their purpose. And I had to learn that the hard way. And one of the things that came up, I remember, because I was so busy helping other people try to figure out their dreams and their passion and all that jazz, at one point, I accepted being second. That I would help other people like pursue their thing, and I would play the second role and be under them. And I'm like, that ain't me. I'm meant to be at the top, at the very top. So I am not here to play anybody second. Now, there are people who can fulfill that role, but that's not my role. I'm here to lead Be Free Project and be a community cultivator, keynote interviewer, speaker, and all the jazz. And that is not playing anybody second. But because I didn't know who I was and I did not know my purpose at the time, I got comfortable playing that role. But now that I know who I am, ain't no way. All right. Chandra says very helpful. I know I was on fire today, y'all. I was on fire today. All right. I am done talking. I have some errands I need to run. Thank you so much for joining me for this live. I will see you next week at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're in the Be Free Inner Circle, we have our wind down and game night tonight. So I will see y'all at 7 o'clock. Y'all have a great weekend. And I'll see you soon.